Farida Nabourema is female activist from Togo. Welcome to Sahara Reporter, SaharaTV.
Thank you.
So people have been rising up in Togo against a dictatorship that's been around there for 50 years combined. It's just, there used to be a father and now there's a son. And the people of your part of the world are saying enough is enough. Where are we with the struggle that's going on in Togo right now? Can you tell us?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me in your studio today. It is true that the Togolese people are rising against the current government of Faure Gnassingbé. Faure Gnassingbé and his father have ruled Togo for a total of 50 years. He is serving a third term. He's in 12th year. The people of Togo are just basically tired of 50 years of dictatorship, of mismanagement of resources, of abuse, of unkept promises by the government of Togo. The first protest was actually on August 19 when people went on the street to request the reinstatement of the 1992 constitution in order to bring term limits back. But that repress was repressed in blood, and several people got killed, many got injured, and that sparked the general anger in the whole nation. And people were like, we are tired of being brutalized every time we stand against certain things in this country. Then we just don't want to discuss anymore. We just want the current government to step down. So people have been organizing on the ground, even in the diaspora. The Togolese people are mounting pressure. They are not giving up despite the intervention of some international mediators. They are standing tall on their feet, and they're like, this time around, he has to go, nothing less than that.
Tell us the scope of what you think the Togolese people are willing to do, in spite of repression, despite intervention by international diplomatic processes. What do you think will happen? Do you think that this time they might be lied to or confused and give up, or they are willing to go the full hard?
In the past, the Togolese people have given in at several occasions, mainly because we had politicians, opposition leaders that chickened out at some point, some that were corrupt and received money and decided to shut up, or some that received some positions in the government. But this time around, it is a movement by the people, not led by the leaders. So the people are very adamant and firm that they don't want anything less than the departure of Faure Gnassingbé. So they made that extremely clear to the opposition leaders, who in the beginning wanted to at some point back off, but the people were extremely clear in their callings and even in their threats to those opposition leaders, telling them that we don't want nothing less than that. And for the first time in Togo, at least during my lifetime, I've been hearing people saying they want to invest and buy guns. They're like, this regime has to go. It's either they go the peaceful way or we force them out. But the Togolese are now ready to do whatever possible to get rid of this government.
But it's been largely peaceful so far.
So far, it's been extremely peaceful. Yeah. It's been extremely peaceful. People were able to remain composed despite the repression of the regime. They have been going home to brutalize people, to arrest people, to beat them up, violating people's homes, violating the constitution. But in spite of that, people are remaining composed. However, in any country, you have different group of people. Even though some do not think guns will be the solution, some are just so fed up they are willing to do anything possible.
One thing that should be highlighted is the massive involvement of women in this protest against and it seems like there's a culture in Togo recently of women just using their bodies, using their guts and their energy to fuel a social movement in a country that is trying to overthrow the government. Tell us why your women are not as docile. I mean, they're so energetic. It
is a cultural thing. One thing that I have always been proud of the Togolese is the strength of Togolese women. The Togolese women are not the kind of women that stay back and be like, politics is the main jobs or fighting is the main job. You don't cross them. Like, it dates back in the colonial era. You know, back in 1931, the Togolese women had a first revolution when the French government increased taxes following the Great Depression of 1929 on all their colonies. So when they imposed the taxes, the Togolese women, there are some Togolese people who protested against that, men, and the French government at the time arrested them. The Togolese women went to the French colonial quarters, they broke the prison, they freed all the prisoners, and they said they are not paying the taxes. So Togo ended up being the only country who didn't pay taxes, who didn't pay the increased taxes. And then again, a few years before our independence, the women did a second revolution. They said they are tired of colonialism, these men need to get out. So women were protesting with the men on the streets against colonialism, and they were extremely involved in the different protests and the marches against colonial powers. So Togolese women, as far as I can remember, have always been proactive when it comes to politics. Till now, in the 1990s, women were involved. In the early 2000s, women were involved, and for a long time, the women are the #1 financial support for the opposition. They're the one who work in the markets, they raise money in the market. Reason why the government even burnt down the 2 largest markets in Togo to punish them back in 2012, because all their money they invested in the opposition. They are militants and they are still doing that till now.
You mentioned opposition leaders who have come, mobilized people and sold out.
Yes.
You know, how are you sure that this time around, even with all the threats and, you know, standing guards, how are we sure that they won't sell out this time around? You know?
One thing I have been telling youths and people who have been asking me that question is that this time around, we do not give them an option to betray us. You know, whoever betrays us becomes our enemy. And in one of my communication, I told people that the reason why we have had opposition leaders betraying us all these years is because there had never been any consequences for their betrayal. So they betray us, they sold out, and we don't do anything to them. We don't retaliate, we don't take action, and we just give up. First of all, we need to understand that in every struggle, you're going to have traitors, and then you're going to have people who chicken out, who get scared, or who just lose interest. But regardless of what happens, you must keep the momentum and keep moving forward. When we are done, we'll decide of what we are going to do with the traitors. If you forgive them, fine. If we decided to push them on the side, that's fine. But we must not see these protests as leaders asking us to go on the street, but us going out because we believe in something, regardless of what the leaders do or not. So now the stage that we have reached, the leaders don't have any control over the people anymore. They are just like the figurative leaders. They can carry the message outside, but in real, they don't have the ability to demobilize people as they had in the past.
So let's go into you being someone who left Togo a while ago, traveled around the world, you know, and lived in the United States, and decided, as I found out, to just come back one day to West Africa. I don't want to disclose your location on air. And what convinced you? What made you come to the point that you just throw everything you have in this struggle right now? You
know, I created together with some other Togolese people in 2011 the movement we call 4 Must Go. And for us, 4 has to go. There is no alternative than for him to go, because the way he seized power in the first place by killing over 1,000 Togolese people disqualify him to rule Togo in the first place. You cannot kill your people and then be their leader in any democratic society. So that was the basis for us to get involved. But when we started, people called us crazy. 4 Must Go, you guys, he just arrived. Like, just give him time. It's not that bad. It's not that crazy. So in the past, we got involved and we mobilized resources. We sent home and we try different activities, but when you are not close to the ground, it's very difficult. So for all these years, I have been pushing in terms of building some grassroots support, not only for the cause, but I developed a certain number of followers who started believing in what I do, and I built a track record to become, not bragging apart, but to become one of the most notable activists in Togo. Then when I realized that I had a huge size of number of people who believe in me and who see me as a leader, I'm like, you know, I think time has come for me to go to go back and see what I can do. So when I went back, the first place I went to was Togo. I wanted to go and see for myself before I started calling people and being like, let's do something. Before I left the United States, I moved from the United States, I did call some close friends that are very engaged and believe in the struggle, and I told them of my intentions, but I wanted to go and touch base because this regime has succeeded in the past at telling people that they have been doing well, or we built a new terminal at the airport, we have built a new road, so Togo is now so beautiful. So I went back last year and I'm like, so is this the Togo you have been telling people that this is beautiful? This is a shame. This is even worse than what I thought it was before wanting you guys to leave in the first place. So when I went to Togo, that's kind of like helped some people, it helped grow the trust some people have in me, because in the past people were always like, oh, you're just on the internet bragging, but there's no way you can go to Togo. Then I went and then like, oh, okay, she has guts. Because when you're a female and you're young, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you're not afraid of anything, of not even losing your life, before people even understand or hear you out. So that was the beginning of it. So ever since I've moved back, it's been great. I have just been enforcing my relationship with people on the ground, with activists on the ground, journalists on the ground, and even outside of the country. And we have been doing well so far, and I'm very happy to see the result.
Yes. So have you heard back from the government in terms of their reaction to this mass protests going on? Are they willing to shift ground?
Till now, I think they still can't believe it. First of all, they were living in denial. In the past, the strategy that has always worked for them was, oh, if they come out and we kill a couple, they'll go home and we'll forget about them for a few years. But this time around, we warned them that when you kill just one, then many more will come out. And they underestimated, the anger of the people. And when it happened, they are still struggling to understand what is happening, because the reactions we have been seeing from them in the past few weeks has never been seen before.
So tell us some of the reactions.
You have ministers going on radio trying to talk about finding a consensus about the government program, trying to tell people that the street is not a solution. In the past, we had this very arrogant government, like the Minister of Security came on radio and said that, hey, power is given by, authority is given by God. It is God that has chosen them to lead Togo, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, the same people who were so convinced of their power, of their strength, who were so arrogant, a Minister of Security who tell protesters, if you dare protest, you'll see what I will do to you. Now he's the one saying, oh, you don't need to protest. The president loves you. The president is very nice. They have this sudden change of tone and humility that they have never exhibited in the past. So you're like, oh, so you guys can be nice, you guys can be humble. You used to treat the people as if they were your slaves and the country as if it was your plantation.
Estate, yeah.
Exactly. So, but now they want to negotiate. They never wanted to negotiate. Their only negotiation tool in the past was the guns.
Yeah.
Now they know it's not working, so they are trying to find other ways to appease the people, but the people are just so fed up with them, and they are confused, very much confused.
So one question people would like to ask about Farida, if all of this is resolved and you kick up for Grasibe, what's next?
Good question.
Should we expect the first female Togolese president?
No, well, my ambition, at least not in the short term, is not to rule Togo, because I always tell people that once we get rid of Farida Nabourema, and I hope you'll do that before the end of the year. I told those who believe in God to say amen. But what I'm trying to say is, once they are gone, we are going to have a very tough transition, because we have had the longest serving military regime in Africa. So it's just like you have a surgery, even though in the long run is to get rid of a health problem, but the recovery from the surgery can be extremely painful, and sometimes you wish you just kept your ailments before the surgery. So Togo is going to go through that. We are going to fight each other. The opposition is going to be even more divided. We will understand who was in the opposition because they wanted the position. We will understand who was in the opposition because, well, they just didn't like Farida Nabourema but had no vision for the country. Everybody will come and try to put in their their own information and own agenda. Some will want us to build Togo, to make Togo a replica of France. Some want it to be a replica of the US. So there are going to be clashes of ideas and exactly. But so I still want to be in the civil society, keeping these people in check, so that I can tell my people that, well, we were the one who removed this regime in the first place. We need a system of check and balances. We are all not going to jump into the government, and nobody is going to hold us accountable as activists. So I want to remain an activist in the short run, to make sure that those who will replace these guys are going to work for the interests of the people, not for their own interests.
But the question we ask is that what people say to you, you know, just come and lead us. You know, if the young people in Togo who are your great followers, very impressed with what you've done, say, hey, you know, we've had enough of all these old people. We just need a courageous young person to lead us. You know, would you turn them down and say, you know, I just want to do NGO? You know?
No, it's not about doing NGO. It's about doing civic participation. I once told the people of Togo that the situation in which that we have right now, the way the system is built up, if I, Farida, come in power, I promise, I swear, I'll do worse than Fonya Singbe.
Why?
You should not trust human beings. You should not give a nation and the future of millions of people should not be entrusted into just one person. We have to clean the system so that even if Satan becomes president in Togo, he wouldn't be able to hurt a single soul. So it is not about having Farida being so nice and becoming president of Togo. It's about making the Togo presidential system being so transparent and manageable and accountable that whoever comes will do a good job. So I want to be part of them so that we can clean that system, so that whether it is Farida that comes or anybody that comes, the result will be way better than what you have seen with the Nyasingbes for 50 years.
So Togo's got some prominent celebrities.
Yes.
Same as Nigeria, and we're not hearing their involvement in this struggle. Someone like Adebayo, who is a soccer player, very well known around the world. You know, we know that other celebrities in other parts of the world will use their celebrity power and followership to mobilize against oppression, help people. I don't know who else is from Togo, sorry.
Yes.
But I know there's a bunch of them. What do you say to them?
We have the Adebayo, we have the two fans, but you know, the unfortunate and sad thing about Togo is that these celebrities you are mentioning, they kind of like function in a club of an aristocrat club and an elite. Adebayo has campaigned for Fonya Singbe in 2015, and the people were so outraged. You know, he lost a lot of respect from the Togolese people from doing that. The two fans did the same. They are still doing it.
And you mentioned to me that some Nigerians actually campaign, some Nigerian celebrities.
Yes, like someone like Yemi Alade. I used to like that lady. The moment I saw her singing to support one of the most brutal dictators in Togo, because they paid her a couple of $100,000s, we were like, this lady is just a disappointment. And I'm like, I am so angry and so mad at her, but I swear if I see her in the street, I'm going to curse her, because these are people who are feeding on the suffering of others. They are embellishing the image of brutal dictators just for a couple of $1,000s they wouldn't need in the first place, because these your fans love you genuinely for what you do, but it doesn't mean they are stupid. It's not because they love your song that you're going to tell them when they are hungry that they should eat sand. It doesn't work like that. So by doing that, you're betraying your fans and you're helping sustain oppression, and that is happening in Togo. I don't think Togo is the only country, but it's unfortunate that the entertainers and the athletes we have in Africa do not see themselves as having the kind of leverage they can use to better the lives of their fans, but on the contrary, they use it to sustain the abuse of their fans. That is very unfortunate.
Powerful. Let's talk about France. You know,
yes.
France, the country of France is known for supporting dictators in former French colonies. And this time around, we haven't seen their hands yet, but I'm sure somewhere maybe you can enlighten us about what is their role at this. Is it diplomatic? Is it military? Are they just waiting to prop up for if he's on his way going down? We just haven't seen much of France.
Lately,
I mean, openly this time around.
If I tell you that I myself haven't even tried to see what they're thinking right now, because in the past, our struggle, people in the opposition thought that if you want change in Togo, you have to go to the Élysée, which is the French presidency, to discuss, to negotiate. And I'm one of those people who think that we don't owe France anything. So we don't need to get them involved. I don't even want to know what they are thinking. Togo is not their plantation. So we are not going to go to Togo and discuss the future of Togo with the French government. I don't even want them to get involved. So far, I have not reached out to the French government. I have not told people to reach out to them. Same with those who think they should reach out to the American government. And I'm like, we are not babies. We have been independent for 50 years, and we all know how the Nyasimbe came in power. Our first president, Sylvanus Olympio, wanted to remove Togo from the CFA currency, which France is using to embezzle billions of the Africans' money. And for that, they got Nyasimbe Adema and other folks to assassinate him. That's how we have had the Nyasimbe for 50 years. And when Nyasimbe died, Jacques Chirac, who at the time was the president of France, said that he lost a personal friend and a friend of France. And he congratulated his son for Nyasimbe for doing a coup and taking over Togo. So France has always been their support. But they have been, the reason why they have that power is because we relinquish it to them. It's because we think our salvation can come from them. So now I'm just telling people that, you know what, just ignore France. If they want to get involved, if they dare get involved, but do anything contrary to what we the Togolese people want, then we are going to fight them, because they are not gods. They are not. In French, we use the word invincible. Like they don't have a power that cannot be outturned. So we the people are sovereign, and what France is thinking right now is the very least of our concern. I think we should turn off that page of trying to get the approval, the consent, or the compassion, or the sympathy of friends. We are done with their colonial period. They should just care for their own troubles. We'll manage our own. We just don't want them to get involved, whether to support the Nyasimbe or to even not support them, because when the French came, they only come for their own interests. So whoever they will come in to support right now will be like, okay, if they want this guy, there must be something there. So we don't even want them to get involved at this point.
We're in a social media age.
Yes.
Can you tell us, what is social media helpful to the struggle? Is it hurtful to the struggle? When the the Togolese government took out the internet,
yes,
how much did it hurt you guys in the struggle?
You know, social media has been an extremely powerful tool. Facebook and WhatsApp. The Togolese are not really much into Twitter, but Facebook and WhatsApp, you know, I get messages from the most remote villages in Togo, and I don't even know these villages exist, and people send you a message and be like, oh, we got your message here and we love what you say. Information is circulating better, because in the past, the Togolese government controlled all the media outlets, especially in the inner cities of the country. So the only news you get are news about the president inaugurating a farm or donating cutlasses to farmers somewhere. So people didn't get any credible information, but now social media has changed that. So it's helped organize the struggle, and when people are asked to go out on the street and protest, and you send a WhatsApp message, within an hour everybody has it and everybody is ready. But when they shut down the internet, they underestimated us, because we first of all anticipated on that to happen. So we were ready for them. We had our own logistics in place. So we had people collecting the information, and we have people disseminating the information. So when you collect it, you send it out to some people who are across the border from Ghana, who pick it up and disseminate that information. Now, because internet is shut down in Togo, it made those outside of Togo even more eager to hear what is happening. So every time, as soon as we put information online, it goes viral. And now international journalists, they want to know what is happening, but because of the shutdown, the only way for them to get information is through us in the opposition. So the government could not even balance what we are putting there. Whatever we are putting there is the only truth. So they just made it easier for us to gain international sympathy and attention, and I can't thank them for doing that.
But the internet is back now.
It is back now. They have just realized how useful it was. Yeah, useless. Yes, useless it was for them to do that.
Final question is, what can we, your brothers and sisters, do in Africa? I mean, in West Africa, and in diaspora to help, you know, because when the Gambian people stood up, we were watching, helping, but I felt like we could have done more. You know, what would you say to people out there who are willing to help? How can they help their Togolese people, brothers and sisters?
This right now is one of the help we need, because we need to amplify the struggle of the people of Togo. So how people can help us: number one, to share information about Togo, to retweet, to repost news articles, whatever is happening. Then we need to get foreign institutions who claim to work for the interests of the people of Africa and Togo to take their jobs more seriously. When you see international organizations like the ECOWAS, they are all chickening out. Why? Because, well, Farida Nabourema is the chair of the ECOWAS, and then the High Commissioner is married to his sister. So we have brother-in-laws leading the ECOWAS in a country, and I don't know how they didn't see that happening in the first place as a conflict of interest. So they are there and they are stuck. When the Togolese people are asking them do something, they're like, yeah, we want to do something, but the one person who can ask us to do something is the president himself, who the thing is going to be done against. So we need people from all over Africa to put pressure on these regional and international institutions to do something. They have remained quiet, even though they made a very weak statement a couple of days ago. That is not what the Togolese people want. They are not telling the government that they are violating the constitution, but they're telling the people that you need to respect the authority of the government. How do you respect the authority of a government that is violating its own authority? So the people and institutions, local organizations all over Africa can help amplify the struggle. Number one, reach out to institutions that have some leverage over the government of Togo. That is going to give us a lot of strength in our battle, because the regime is very brutal. Now, the only way to make this regime fall is to either antagonize an equal brutal force, but we don't want to get there, or we put pressure on them so that they stop using violence against the people. Once they are unable to shoot people, trust me, within an hour, Farida Nabourema is down.
Just lastly, can you just say to people in French what they can do to you? I mean, a message to your people in French, because this is an English-speaking interview.
A message to the Togolese or to Africans?
Africans, French-speaking people all over the world.
Ce que je ferais savoir à tout le monde, c'est que le peuple togolais pendant longtemps a été sous-estimé. L'on n'a pas cru en sa capacité à se révolutionner, mais cela a été fait. Nous sommes éveillés, nous sommes debout, comme on le dit au Togo, comme le dit notre hymne national, Togo debout, luttant sans défaillance. Et nous sommes en train de lutter pour un meilleur Togo, un Togo digne, un Togo qui sera l'or de l'humanité, qui fera la fierté de l'humanité. Alors tout ce qu'on pourrait vous demander, c'est de nous soutenir, de vous engager à nos côtés et de ne pas baisser les bras, de continuer de croire en nous. Et bientôt, nous ferons de ce Togo une nation dont vous serez très fiers. Merci.
C'est fini.
Pour vous tous qui ne le savez pas, nous sommes sur SaharaTV et merci d'être connectés avec nous. Nous sommes sur SaharaTV, Everything Africa.